Hi everyone, it's Gina. Thank you for stopping by. And today I have a really cool project. It's actually two projects in one. The first part is we'll be dyeing and creating our own paper. It's tissue paper technically, but we'll be creating different colors and maybe different patterns and just having a great time just being expressive and making really cool tissue papers that we can use in a variety of different ways going forward. The second part is we're going to take these tissue papers and we're just going to have fun with them. But I'm just going to make little tags or little journal cards. They could be either one. And I want to take you through the ones I've made just to show you a variety of things that you can do, and then we'll get started. So this was my first go, and this has Mod Podge over it. And all I did was dye my paper and then put the Mod Podge down and scrunch up the tissue papers with different colors and glue them down. And then I went over top of it with more Mod Podge. It's shiny. Even though I used matte Mod Podge, it still will give you a bit of a shine. I thought it resembled a sunset, so I just added a little piece of fabric and made a little sun and called it a day. From there, I made this tag, and I just took one of the pieces of dyed paper and glued the whole thing on and made a little cluster on top and made just a cute little tag. From there, I glued multiple pieces down, kind of like patchwork, where not the whole sheet covered everything, but used a couple of bits and pieces to give it a little bit more of a ragged look. And once I had it glued down, I just painted leaves, and I thought that looked really cute. After that is where it got interesting. I put the backing down, took some of the plain dyed tissue paper, and I broke it up into little pieces and just started gluing it down and came up with these flowers, and I absolutely loved it. I love how organic it looks, how delicate it looks, and I just thought that was so cool. I wanted to share it with you. I also tried it in white, and that looks really, really delicate. I did have to use a couple of layers on top because tissue paper is practically see-through. And this was a darker background, so it took a few layers, but it really wasn't bad, and I thought it looked really pretty. This one was my first try at filming this video. Yeah, this is my second go, and I thought it turned out really cute. There was problems with the film, portions that were missing, and I ended up having to scrap the whole thing. But I'm here again, so we're going to do another one. I started just getting a little more creative, doing different styles. And I went back to sketching and painting. I thought that still was a really cute option. But I went back to tearing and gluing to creating flowers. I just love the look. Last but not least, I thought, well, let's try to create something other than a flower. And a cat is just the easiest thing because it's basically an oval with ears and a tail. Although I did get a little crazy afterwards and have him looking out a window. But I thought that was just real cute, and it was a lot of fun. So here we are, and here's what you'll want to do. You'll want to just tear off pieces of regular white tissue paper and lay them down and paint some solid colors. That comes in real handy for making petals or even making the cat, although it doesn't have to be solid. But it's nice to have the option, so you may want to make some. But for the backgrounds, I usually do a blend of colors and just be a little more expressive. And some of these just came out really, really pretty. Now, depending on what kind of watercolor you have will depend on how dark it is. I use QOR watercolors. My QOR set looks like this, and they are really highly pigmented. So when it dries, it still dries pretty dark. But just realize if you're using a different brand that maybe is not quite as pigmented, it may take a couple of applications to get it dark if you want it dark. So for part one, grab some tissue paper, and I just cut it into a few pieces. I wanted to do a couple of different backgrounds just so I would have options when it comes time to create the next step, and I'll pick whichever one I like the best. And remember, this is tissue paper, which is practically see-through. So anything you put on is going to bleed through. So make sure you protect your desk or whatever surface you're working on if you need to. This is a silicone mat and it just wipes right up. It's not a problem. I just got this from the local restore and I'm sure it's for like chips and dip, but yeah, I'm using it for my paint. I'm really not thinking. I'm just going to blend them all together. I'm not even trying to do certain colors. Yeah, so I'm just going to start putting them on. Let's see, get some more water. I'm just grabbing the paint and I'm laying it down. The only thing you might want to consider is how dark you want your background. If you're going to do a flower, I kind of think it looks best with the lighter background. So these probably will not be very dark. I have several dark ones if I want them, but yeah, I think I kind of like the lighter look. So if you have watercolors that are highly pigmented and you don't want it that dark, just make sure you mix it with plenty of water. Okay, get my edges. And I love that it has cracks because you'll be able to see those cracks when it dries and it just adds a lot of texture. Now that they're full of color, I'm going to dry it with a heat tool. You can let it just dry on its own. If you do, it tends to dry more flat, more smooth than if you use a heat tool. But for time's sake, I'm going to grab my heat tool and give it a dry. My papers are all dry and part 1 is complete. Part 2 is where we create our tag or our journal card. Next, you'll need to decide on a base. Now, you can do this on anything. This is just some cardstock. This was just on craft paper. I stamped on the back of it. Actually, this was a tag, but it was made from craft paper, cardstock. This one was printer paper because it's really, really thin. So it's just up to you depending on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use it in a journal, for a journaling card, you want it strong enough to be able to handle if somebody's going to write on the back of it, but you don't want it real thick either. So just choose your paper accordingly. The first thing we want to do is cover our base. So I use one of the pieces that we've just made and just glue it on top of the base. It doesn't matter what kind of glue. I've used a variety of different glue, everything from Mod Podge to craft glue to glue stick. At least for covering the base, the easiest thing I found to use is the glue stick. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to get a glue book, grab one of my pieces of paper, and I've got the Scotch Create glue stick. Really the most important part is that you get the edges. So you definitely want to have a good coating of glue all over with special attention on the edge. Okay. I don't want it to stick to my paper or my glue book's got glue all over it, so let's just move it down here and lay it down. There we go. Yeah, it's really best if you flip it over and then you can push down on the back of the card. Lay that one to the side and let it dry. And I'll go ahead and cover this one see. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Oh gosh, that's really nice. I like that one. I'm just going to trim off the extra. You can always rip it. I would pull it this way, so hold it face down and pull this way and rip it. But it just depends on the look. If you want the rip look, then go for it. But for time's sake, I'm just going to I'll give it a cut with my scissors. There. Aren't they gorgeous? I mean, you could leave them like that and maybe write a few words on there or put a little quote. I mean, I just think they're gorgeous. But we will continue on and take it a step further. I'm going to hit them quickly with my heat gun just to make sure that the glue sets and I don't have to worry about it being wet and running the risk of tearing my tissue paper while I'm working. I mean, there is always the risk of tearing tissue paper when you're working with it, but having the glue dry helps a bit. I can't take my eyes off this one. It's just gorgeous. I almost want to leave it like that. Maybe I should use this one. Oh, it's a tough decision. Okay, for the video today, I'm going to create a flower because it seems the easiest and they always seem to turn out well. When I made the flower, the first thing I did was tear the paper into petal-ish shapes. And here's all I did. I just used the very tip of my finger and put it down and just tore around it. So you end up with something like this. Once you have your paper torn, you're going to probably want to have some tweezers handy because, friends, this next part can be stressful, I won't lie. If you are not in the right frame of mind, this may not be the right project. It's something more to do when you're feeling calm. We're going to be dealing with tissue paper and glue, and it can be hectic. But I'll show you what I mean. This is really liquidy, so patience is the name of the game. We'll see how this works out. Don't think too hard. I'm just going to put some down where I think a petal would go. Maybe I'll just go ahead and put a bunch down. And then I'm just going to start placing them in. If you've got any edges, it's maybe good to do them first because you'll add layers over top of it. See, like this. Because you want the ragged end out, generally. So it gives you that natural look of a petal. When I was doing it before, I would have something with the Mod Podge and I would take this and I'd glide it over and I'd lay it down. That's the long way. This is more of the fast way. So we'll see how it works out. See? Remember what I said about glue and tissue paper? Yeah. But I really like the look too when you can take your tissue paper and just kind of smush it. Give it a really smushed and rumpled look. That turns out really nice in the end. So let's put a little something here. Skinny one like this. Oops. Like that. Right over there. There. It's like before you know it, you have a flower just kind of emerge. Isn't that cool? I just love how it looks. I think I'm going to smush that one down. And a little bit of glue. Maybe take something else. This is a clay tool. But just to smush those leaves down. I'm sorry, smush down the petals. do the bud, here's how I did the other ones. I put glue on half of it. Put it down. And then I just fold it over the other side like that. Put glue on this side. Fold it over. There you go. Yeah, that works. There. And you can add as many layers as you want. You could keep going. And I don't know if, hopefully you can see it where the little crease is when it dried. It looks like a vein. So it just really works well for flowers. I was going to see if I could use the tissue paper to make a stem, or you could always just use a pen and you could sketch it in. Let's have this coming just like this. I'm going to cut this because it's just so much faster. But you could do like you did the rosebud and you could lay it down and fold it over. That would work out great. This piece seemed like it was a little bit too long. There's even room to stamp a little saying or put a little word or something else right here if you wanted to. Okay, I'm not doing a word. I did find a bee, and I think that would look really cute right there. So I'm going to use some archival ink. And this is black. Let me do a test stamp first. Yep, always test your stamps first to make sure it stamps right. Oh, sweet. Okay, I dried the ink real quick. This is a cheap marker. I hope it doesn't bleed too much into the black part of the bee, but I thought I would add a little bit of yellow just to give him a little bit of color. It's cute. No paper craft can be complete without some inking on the outside, so let's do that. It adds such a nice finishing look to any kind of paper craft. But I know a lot of people don't like that look, so of course, you know, you do what makes you happy. And there we go. I hope you guys like this. I think it's a lot of fun. True, you have to be in the right mindset, because if you breathe out too hard, like say in frustration, your little bits of tissue paper just go flying. And you're dealing with something very thin like tissue paper and of course glue. So it can be a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's a lot of fun, and it'll be fun to see what you all come up with. I did mostly flowers. That's the best place to start, but you can do other things. So you can do animals, you could do a whole scene, you could do a tree and flowers. But remember, you can also draw on them as well. Stay tuned. I'll take pictures of this one and all the other ones I've done so you can take a look. Here are the ones I made that you can use for inspiration. Here is the one we did today. It came out so cute. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you give it a try. If you do, please tag me on social media. Hashtag the Artful Addict. I would love to see what you guys make. And be sure to leave a comment and let me know how it goes. All right, if you're still here, thanks so much for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.